Hi y'all, welcome to the designer class lesson on making beads. Now these are the simplest form of beads and they're just circular with some highlights on them. I have a variety here to share with you to show you what works and what doesn't work. These two here are the ones that I made in final format that I decided to share. Now I did make these larger than they needed to be for realism, and then I made them smaller when I saved them to give them away. Beads are one of the more difficult things to make. You would not think that they were that difficult, but for me, they're very difficult to make. In fact, I even have some cheat notes down here so I don't forget to share with you all the variety of things and ways you can utilize in order to make these beads. So let's get started and get your elliptical marquee tool. Hold down your shift key so it stays in a nice circle. Let's create a new layer. And I'm going to get this red we have been working with as my foreground color and hit what is it? Alt backspace to fill that selection in. Then I'm going to hit Control J because I find I kept needing to go back and at least hit the Control key and click on the thumbnail to get that selection again. If anything, to use that for size. And so the very basic thing that you can do for the bead would be this one. And you can see this is not as realistic as some of these others. But we're going to start with the simplest thing, and it is more than good to use this in conjunction with some of the other things that we're going to be doing. You get a brush tool and you look at the settings of one of the default brushes and make sure that this slider is all the way down to 0 so that it's a soft brush so that it kind of feathers out. And then make sure you choose and enable the airbrush qualities. Now I'm going to do this on a new layer above this red that we are working with, and I'm just going to imagine where the highlight would be hitting my bead, and I'm just going to click down with my mouse. It's not going to do any good with red on red. Let's get a white foreground color, and let's make sure there's a selection around my bead. We're on our new layer, and I'm going to imagine where that is and just hold down and let that grow. Then I'm going to go to the filter menu, blur, Gaussian blur, and just blur that up. Don't blur it up too much. Just kind of eye the preview. And you can see it looks very much now like this bead. But there's one last step that I recommend you do as the very last step for all of these methods when you're done playing. Don't recommend doing it before the last step, but when you think you've got it all done good, this is when you do this. Go to the filter drop down menu, distort, spherize, and you can see this really cool spherize image. It kind of gives you an idea of what this is going to do. I have it on 100% and normal. Click OK and Control D, and there is your simplest bead. If you wanted to do that and you wanted to be happy with it, that would be okay. But you can see compared to some of these others, it does look rather flat. So we are going to get rid of some of this and start over with some other methods. Let's see. Got my initial shape that I made there. This time we are going to fill it with a gradient. Let's get our gradient tool, and we want the foreground color is white. That's important. And then the background color, whatever color we want our bead to be. We're going to choose the gradient then that is foreground to background, and we're going to choose the radial option, not the first one, the linear that is normally chosen. We're going to choose the radial, and then just as we were imagining here where the light source comes in on this one, we want to imagine that and then go up just a little bit. So I'm going to, let's get our control key and thumbnail for our marching ants. Hopefully you learned how to do that by now. So I'm going to imagine my light source and then go just up a little bit and click down and draw downward. And you're going to see we've got a nice circular bead already. It looks very much like this one almost, because this is how I've made this one. It's a little bit, got a little bit too much color for me. I wonder if I could, let's see, move this stop over. Not the stop, but the color midpoint. Let's see what happens. Aha! You see? Just a little bit of playing and you have something totally new. I think that was a little bit too far. Let's move that mid-stop a little bit back. There we go. Now we're looking pretty good. Then let's make a little bit more of a highlight on there. We can do that. Create a new layer, and I'm going to make this one kind of a soft yellow. And you get that airbrush, and on my new layer I'm just going to kind of draw a highlight right here with my airbrush. Now you can see that don't look good at all. No. And so we're going to change that to a soft light and maybe reduce the opacity a little bit if you need to. Don't really need to too much on this one. Yeah, there we go. And now this is more the highlight where this is here, the direct light, because your white is kind of off-centered up there. Then I'm going to go to this layer below, and I'm going to get my dodge tool. Now you're going to notice in many of these you have a highlight above and a highlight below. A highlight above and a highlight below. Of course, sometimes you're going to have your shadow below where it's darker instead of lighter. There is no, I'm yawning. Excuse me, it's almost 2 a.m. here. There is no right or wrong to this. You just need to visualize it in your head. But for our purposes, I'm on the lower layer, and I'm going to hit this with my dodge tool and just make another sphere over there. And I had the exposure all the way down at 50% when I did that. And then I can merge the two layers together and go to the filter. Distort. Spherize is my last option, and click OK. And now you can see I have one very much like this one. My problem with this one, I really liked it, but my problem was the color. But you know what, on this one over here that I liked, which we're going to look at how I did that here in a minute, I had problems with the color on it too, and I created a new hue and saturation with a red. Changed it to soft light blending mode or whatever you want. Now see if I take that off, you can see my bead looks horrible, and I put it back on. It really made the nice adjustment. So we can try that with this bead. Control G to group them together, and there it does. Before, after, it does look a lot better. That would be an acceptable bead. I think so. What do you think? But let's turn this stuff off. Where's my original here? Control J. Let's get something else to play with here. Let's now try another method. There are so many things you can do for this. So many things. Let's Control J this again and get our marching ants. I'm going to hit D on my keyboard and get a white airbrush and just kind of put a little bit of white there. Oh, that's almost too much white. I'm going to lower the opacity a little bit. There we go. Let's try that. I made it much whiter before. Then you can get either a gray, or lower the opacity, but we're going to draw gray in here. Doesn't really matter. You draw it different every time. Your bead's going to look different. Just kind of play and feel the artisticness oozing out of you. Okay, no, wait. Never mind. See how stupid that looks? The bead looks stupid. But now we're going to make it look unstupid by going to the blur and glossy and blur and just moving this around till you can see down here it doesn't look good, but move it around. You want them to be two separate spots and click OK. Now the reason we have this, so a layer above a layer, let's turn off this below layer and you're going to see how this feathers out near the edge, and that's why you need this here below it. I wonder what happens if we do overlay. Ooh, no, doesn't work. We can soften that effect a little bit by lowering the opacity. Now we've got a good start, and we're going to merge these two down, and this time I want to apply a bevel of the Simple Pillow Emboss, and I'm going to go to the settings and just bring that all the way up. And now you can see this is beginning to take shape. Actually, I don't want that all the way up. Yeah, I do. I'm not quite sure why that is so dark on the bottom. Click OK. Now you can see I've got this funky shadow up here we got to get rid of. So I'm going to right click and simplify the layer to commit that Simple Pillow Emboss to it, and then I'm going to inverse my selection, hit delete, and get rid of that stuff up there. Now you can see we're looking pretty interesting. It's always different. Every time I do it, it looks different. This is actually the better way to do it, I found, but always different. Let's go ahead and look at another technique on this. Hit Control J to duplicate that, and as always, let's get our selection. Helps to keep that selection. So we're going to go to the Filter drop-down menu, Render, and Lens Flare. Now you can see here, which is what I did here, was all I did was apply a lens flare to it, but you can see, before we do that to this new one, zoom in here, you can see on this bottom half, this lens flare doesn't look very realistic. The top part is great, but all this over here is not that good. So we can still utilize it though. And just grab this little thing and put this up here where we want it. And you're going to see you want these separated out, so you have these other things on the other end detached. So get your size the way you want it and click OK. But then I'm going to grab my eraser tool. I'm going to erase these over here because I don't like them. Now you can see you've effectively used that lens flare on here. It's a little bit bright for me. Actually, this thing here is a little bit bright. I wonder if I bring this up. Oh, no. That didn't work. Okay, so this is how you play with these things. And, you know, if I don't like it, I might want to try getting my dodge. And see, I don't like how dark it was under there. And now, that didn't work out too well either. I hit undo. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to choose the sponge and desaturate and hit that down here. Let's see. Nope, that doesn't help. I used the desaturate earlier on one of these beads because, you know, I might just start over with this one since it's not real successful. But actually, this is exactly how I made this bead here. Go figure. But I can tell you I've been playing with this all day, and this is why it's so difficult, because each time I make a bead, using the same techniques, one day it will work and the next day it won't. You know what I'm wondering? Let's hit undo. Oh, bye-bye lens flare. I'm taking it all the way back to where there is the bevel, and I'm going to Control D. Let's try putting that bevel on. It's the bevel that I don't like, because the bevel has got this darkness underneath here, and I don't remember how I got rid of that. Well, that was one of the problems. Could be that I just started out wrong. So anyway, see, you've got me thinking, wondering where I went wrong with this particular bead, and I really don't want to start over all the way from the beginning, because I have some other things I want to show you. But those steps are, I promise you, what I did to make this bead here. Actually, oh, we can't do redo. Let's bring this down. I've been spammed. I don't know. Next. Back. Do not allow this person. I don't know you. Okay. I am sorry about that. That's what happens when I leave my instant messenger on. Okay. So now where was I? Put this. Let's just do something different. Clear layer style. Put this one on. Oh wow, what have I got going on here? Yeah, let's just ditch this thing. Let's go on and make this white one. I'm going to go ahead and make the sphere, get a new layer, and this time fill it with white. Now I'm going to duplicate that layer, and the key to white, you see the big difference between this one and this one, is having a spectrum of colors in it. And I'm going to make a selection of this one here, and I'm going to go and get the gradient tool, open up the gradient editor, and I'm going to choose transparent rainbow, and then I'm just going to draw in here. Whoops, let's use the linear gradient. There we go. And thereafter I am going to go to the filter, distort, and ripple, and I bring that ripple all the way up, and I think let's give it a medium. Nah, yeah, that'll be fine. I think I did small before. And then lower the opacity all the way down so that it's pretty close to 10-15%. Now you're going to see already immediately it looks kind of more pearly. Then you remember you've got this layer, the rainbow layer, above the white layer, so then merge down, and then you can continue on with any one of these other techniques that we used on any one of these other beads. I don't exactly remember what I did to get mine. I think I did the second method that I was showing you. I'm going to hit Control J, and with the airbrush I'm going to draw a little bit here for the white and get a little bit more of a gray and draw a smudge here with it, and then let's see, make a selection, filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Let's hope this works out a little bit better this time. I'm gonna really blur it out. Here we go. And then I'm going to merge down, and let's try that emboss thing again. You know what? Before I do that, I'm going to make a copy of this. Sometimes you just have to think this through. See, it's already starting to look like this one. I'm pretty sure. Let's just try a simple emboss. Bring that all the way up. See, I don't like that color where it's dark under there. Right click, simplify, select, inverse, get rid of that shadow outside of that. And then the reason I went ahead and made this one above the other one is so that I could maybe change to a soft light, or maybe even just There, lower my opacity. Now you can see we're looking pretty good. Because see, my problem with that bevel is that I'm going to bring this opacity up, it's so dark underneath here. And so by using it and lowering the opacity and blending it in, we can get the effect without it being so strong. And I think we're beginning to look good here. In fact, I'm going to hit Control J again, and on this layer, filter, render, lens flare. Let's put that flare right here. Click OK. Get my eraser tool. Get that flare from there. I don't like. Merge down. See, these are the same techniques I was using earlier, and you can see I'm having a little more success. You really just have to play with this a whole lot. And then I'm going to get my dodge tool. Where are you, dodge tool? And maybe dodge it right here a little bit. And I really would like it to be lighter right there. I think this is where I use the sponge tool because I felt I had a little too much red, and I actually took some of the color out. With the sponge tool, you can choose this drop down to either saturate it more or desaturate it, and we all know when we desaturate something, it takes the color out. Anyway, we are getting pretty good there with that bead, and you can see how it needed that color to make it look more pearly. Pearly. Are you about exhausted as I am? I'm exhausted. Not that it's 2 a.m. in the morning. Silly me. But I'm just exhausted from playing with this all day long. This is really much more difficult than it appears to make a realistic bead. Then to make them realistic so that they all come together on a rope or something is even harder. Because you have to imagine as they turn, their drop shadows are going to be meaning drop shadows where it's deeper around the edges, which you can use your burn tool to, we've learned this before, to make it darker around the edges. The darkness is going to be different depending on how they're stacked. So sometimes if you were really being a really, really good designer, you wouldn't just take one of these and duplicate it and, move it along and put it right next to each other to string them. You would actually individualize each one, make one basic one, and then add some of these individual steps to each one of them, putting the angles of things a little bit differently. Oh, whew. I don't know about you, but that was a lot of thinking. Oh well, I look forward to seeing what you come up with to do these beads. Might be a little bit easier with the full version of Photoshop, but we are teaching here in Photoshop Elements, and even if you force yourself to use these techniques that are limited in Photoshop Elements, you're going to learn how to utilize these tools. Just even utilizing the Airbrush tool is something that you might not have learned in other lessons. So even if you had the full version of Photoshop and can find some layer styles and things out there, I challenge you to make this from scratch as I was doing here. Make these from scratch, and that way you'll learn the tools. Have fun with it, and I know it's going to take you a while if you really want to play with it right, but have fun with it, and I look forward to seeing what you can do. Remember, you can try different shapes other than circle. Oh, see this oval one here? When you do a sphere, such as this one, let's march this down. Remember, that's always your last step. And I always told you to make marching ants, to go to the filter, distort, sphere, and actually you can see as the last step that really made that just nice. But let's undo it and undo our selection and show you what happens. Distort, sphere, and click OK, and now you can see it made it oval like this one here. So that is why you want to get your selection before you apply that, and that really helped it. Look at that now. Ooh, that bead ain't too bad, is it? Okay. Bye. I'm ending now.